All right, now to give us more perspective in this, we are joined in this broadcast by Professor Peter Kuznick, who's a professor of history and director of Nuclear Studies Institute at the American University, and he's joining us live on this broadcast. Professor Kuznick, this is an interesting sort of a comment that has been made by Vladimir Putin, where he says that there must be a temporary different administration other than that of Zelensky that should take over in Kiev, which could pave the path for peace. In your assessment, he's asking for a change of the Ukrainian leadership for peace to come about.
Vladimir Putin has been making this demand for months now. He's been saying that Zelensky is not a legitimate leader. But the more that Trump and Putin criticize Zelensky and question his legitimacy, the more Zelensky's popularity rises inside Ukraine. When Trump first confronted him in that nasty confrontation in the Oval Office, Zelensky's approval rating was in the low 50s. Mm-hmm. According to the latest polling, it's now up to 69%. We've seen this elsewhere. The more that Trump criticizes Canada, talks about Canada, raises the tariffs, and says Canada should be in the 51st state, he's saved the Liberal Party.
Right.
You know, so these things have their opposite reaction from what Putin or Trump might want.
Interesting that you mentioned that both Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, of course, is called Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator. There are members of the Trump administration who've met with members of the opposition in Ukraine. But is Volodymyr Zelensky the man who is being a bit of a roadblock towards peace, or are there some serious strategic differences between Russia and the United States of America and the NATO military alliance which have become a problem for peace? Or is it Volodymyr Zelensky?
It's not Zelensky by himself, certainly. He's being egged on by the British, the French, and other Europeans. Trump really is less friendly to Zelensky, certainly than Biden was, but also than the European leaders are right now. So we've got real issues that they've got to sit down and negotiate. They can't even come to an agreement about a temporary ceasefire in the Black Sea. Mm-hmm. You know, so the demands that the situation is that Russia has domination in the battlefield. Russia is on the offensive when it comes militarily right now, which puts Zelensky in Ukraine in a very difficult bargaining position. And the fact that Trump has such residual and deep-seated hostility toward Ukraine and an openness toward Russia bolsters Putin's hand in these deliberations. But Ukraine is a democracy. Ukraine is governed by a constitution. It has its own laws, and among them is that elections will not be held while they're at war. So Putin can say all he wants, and clearly he'd like to see somebody other than Zelensky in there.
Right.
But the Ukrainian people are going to make that decision, not Trump and not Putin. But Trump is this new mineral deal. The latest draft of this new mineral deal is so openly one-sided, so flagrantly neo-colonial, that probably the Ukrainians can't even accept it. But they are in a weak position. As Trump said, you have no cards to play. But the other warning that's really important, when Trump said you're gambling with World War III, mm-hmm. There's truth to that statement, which is why all of us should do everything we can to push for a real negotiated settlement as quickly as possible.
Interesting. We'll have to, of course, see as to how quickly a negotiated settlement can, of course, be reached. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Kuznick, for joining us with that perspective there.
My pleasure.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.